Hi everyone, Kendall here with Lousy Llama Creations, and today we're going to be making this adorable little pumpkin pie. This is a beginner-friendly pattern. This video is going to walk you through everything you need to know, but I have the pattern and the beginner kit listed down below. For supplies, you need a 5mm crochet hook, medium weight for worsted yarn in white, orange, and tan, 10mm safety eyes, a little bit of black thread or yarn for the smile, stitch markers and tapestry needle, and some stuffing. And scissors, of course. And I'm going to start by saying that I'm going to show you how to start your piece, the magic ring, or the alternative for a magic ring. So in this video, you are going to see me do it in white yarn, and I might be talking about a ghost. I'm using the same video clips because I thought it's explained very well. I said, why repeat myself when I could just use those clips? So if I'm talking about a ghost or I'm using white yarn, the rest of it will come later. You'll see me as I make the circle bigger. I'll switch back to orange, and then I'll do the rest in the proper colors. So let's hop right in. So to start our ghost, to do the very top, we're gonna do something called a magic ring or a magic circle. And then I'm gonna show you an alternative in case that method's a little tricky. I pulled out my yarn, I'm pulling from the middle, and I'm gonna call this my tail. And this is the end, that's finished. There's no more yarn attached. It's where the end is. I'm gonna place it in my hand, and I'm gonna wrap around to form an X over my hand, over my palm. I'm gonna hold in the middle so it doesn't come undone. I'm gonna take my hook, and there's a couple different ways to hold your hook. You can hold it like a pencil or like a knife or any variation. I prefer a knife. It's exactly like you would use a utensil, and that's just what I'm comfortable with. I'm gonna go under and then over. And I'm gonna pull this yarn through. I'm kind of twisting my hook up because then I'm gonna shimmy this off my hand. This is the yarn that's attached to the ball. So I'm gonna take it, and I'm being gentle because I don't want this to completely come undone. And I'm gonna pull that yarn, the working yarn, which is attached to the ball. I'm gonna tighten it so this is a little snug. I'm pinching so it doesn't come undone. And we're gonna do something called a yarn over. A yarn over, I'm gonna place the yarn on top of the hook and pull through. And that's called a chain. And this is our magic circle. Let me show that one more time. Have my tail. I'm gonna wrap around my hand and hold it in the middle. I'm gonna go under and then over and pull this arm through. Just like that. And then I twisted my hook up. Shimmy off my hand, pinch, tighten, and then I'm gonna switch it to my other hand. To do our chain, this is a yarn over, and then pull through. We're now gonna make our actual stitches, which we're gonna call single crochets, and that's just one of the many stitches in crochet. So I'm gonna insert my hook through our circle. Oops. I'm gonna insert my hook through the circle. This is the tail. And I'm going under both. And then I'm gonna make my single crochet, which is our yarn over. And I'm gonna pull it underneath. Oops, I missed. So my hook's under, yarn over, pull through. So I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm tightening a little bit with my working yarn. Gonna yarn over again and pull through. And that's 1 single crochet. For the first round, we have to make 6. So that was 1. Again, I'm gonna insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through, both. So you have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, This will be our third. And our fourth. Five. And six. Now, this is a super fun part about the magic ring. I'm going to pinch up top by my hook, and then I'm going to pull the tail. And now, it's actually a circle, or our first round. I want to show you another method in case the magic ring's causing a little bit of issues. So I'm going to take this out just by pulling it. I'm going to make a slip knot. So I have my tail over here. I'm going to take it, twist, and pull through. I'm going to insert my hook and then tighten. You don't want it too tight that you can't move it, but you don't want it too loose that it falls off. So just like a little snug. We're going to do 2 chains, which is our yarn over, pull through, and then our yarn over, pull through. This was chain number 2, and this was chain number 1, right by our slip knot. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to tell you it doesn't matter if you go under 2 or under 1, just put your hook in there. And we're going to make the 6 single crochets in there. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that was 1. I'm going to insert into the same hole, the same chain. And I'm going to make all 6 of my single crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. This method you might have a little bit of a hole, that's okay. You can take your tail and that little needle in your kit and you can sew it closed if you need to. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to do the magic ring just because I don't want to sew this at the end and it's a little easier for me. And then we'll move on to round 2. So we just finished round 1, and to mark that we're at the end of round 1, I'm going to take my stitch marker, which is that little safety pin, clothespin, safety pin, little looking doodad. So I know it's a little hard to see with the white yarn. I'm going to place it in my last stitch that I made. Each stitch is that little V, so I'm going to insert into the V and close it up. Now I know where my next round starts and the last round ended. So I'm going to pull some more yarn so I have some stuff to work with. I like to move my tail out of the way because you don't want to crochet with that because then you're going to not have enough yarn. You want to use the yarn attached to the ball. So I'm going to work in a spiral. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. For round 2, we're going to do 6 increases. And an increase is just 2 single crochets next to each other. So I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going under both of those lines. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet. Our yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. To do an increase, because that was just 1, we have to make our second single crochet. So I'm going to insert into the same stitch and make a second. So there's 1 and there's 2 and they're right next to each other. So I'm going to turn my piece a little bit and into the next stitch I'm going to do the exact same thing. So 1 and then 2. At the end of round 1 we had 6 stitches. At the end of round 2 you'll have 12. So you're placing 2 in every stitch. So I'm going to do it again. 1, and then 2, moving around, and then again, and I just did it 5 times, but I have to do it 6 times. So this was my last stitch. I marked with my stitch marker, so I'm going to take them out, do our increase of the 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to place my stitch marker back in that last stitch that I just made because we're going to move up around. So this will mark the end of round 2. And our circle's a little bigger. For round 3, if you're looking at the pattern, you're going to see brackets. You're going to see a single crochet, comma, and then an increase. And we're going to repeat that whole sequence in the brackets throughout this round. So first we have to do a single crochet. So in the next stitch, we're going to place 1 single crochet. Done. And then into the next one, not the same, you want to move to the next stitch. That comma in the brackets means we're moving over. And do our increase, which we know is just 2 single crochets. But they have to be next to each other. They have to be in the same stitch. So the sequence in the brackets is 3 stitches, 1 and then an increase. So we're going to repeat that again. 1, and then moving over, an increase. And we're going to repeat that for the rest of the round. So 1, then an increase, 1, and an increase, 1, increase, 1. I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and then an increase. And then I'm going to place my stitch marker back in so I don't lose track. For the next round, it's going to be a little similar. It says 2 single crochets and then an increase. 2 single crochets is different than an increase because the 2 are going to be across 2 different stitches. So we're going to do 1, move over to the next one, do another one, so they're in 2 different, and then an increase. So this is sequence with 4 stitches. 1, 2, and then an increase. We'll do that for the round. So 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, take out the stitch marker, and increase. Put the stitch marker back in. So we are done with our top of our ghost. So now we're switching to tan for the pumpkin pie. If that video clip was from the ghost, now we're here for pumpkin pie. I just finished round 4, and so which is our 2 single crochets and then an increase. For our pumpkin pie base, we still have to go bigger. So for the next round, we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to do our increase, which is our 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So again, we're going to do 3, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase, and we're going to do that for the round. For the next round, you might have guessed it as you were seeing the pattern, we're going to do 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our increase. And we'll do this for the round. 4 and then an increase. For the next round, it's going to be 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. And we're going to do that for the whole round. For the next round, we're going to do something different. We're not going to make it bigger, so we're done with increases. We're going to do something called working in the back loop only. So normally when you crochet, you're going to put your hook under both of these loops for each stitch, right under both. But for the next round, for back loop only, we're just going to insert our hook into the back and make our single crochets. And we're going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch. So again, going into the back, single crochet, and in the back. And you're going to do a single crochet in every one of these stitches, just in the back loop. Coming up on my last stitch, so I'm taking out my marker, and then doing the back loop, putting my marker back in. As you can see, this kind of leaves our front loop, so it kind of pushes our piece out. So we're going to start working a little taller. For the next 3 rounds, we're going to place 1 single crochet in every stitch. Not in the back loop, it's through both. No increases, just single crochets all the way around. You're going to do this for the round 3 times. So keep on going around, move up your stitch marker, and then repeat that 2 more times. And then it should look like this without the ruffles. Then we have to go back and add these on top. For our next round, it's pretty fun because we're going to learn 2 new stitches, and instead of going the back loop or through both, we're going to be going through the front loop. So you're going to repeat this all the way around. So in the next stitch, not in the back loop, but in the front loop, make sure you insert from the outside in. We're going to do something called a slip stitch. It's super easy, especially if you know how to do a single crochet. You're going to yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. Then we're going to do a half double crochet, which is a little bit taller than a single. So you're going to yarn over before you put your hook in, and then insert your hook all in the same stitch. Yarn over, pull through, so that you have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 3. And then still in the same stitch, we'll do another slip stitch. Our yarn over, pull through, and then pull through. Then we'll skip a stitch, and that's what's going to be our repeat. So I'm going to skip this one, move to the next one in the front loop. We'll do our slip, our half double, insert, yarn over, pull through. If you have a hard time going through all 3, make sure you're turning your hook down. So yarn over, turning my hook down, pulling through, still in the same stitch, slip stitch. And then we'll skip one. I'm going to show it again. Slip, half double crochet, and then another slip stitch. And you start to get these cute little ruffles. I'm going to do this all the way around, but it's technically an odd number of stitches. Well, not technically, it's an odd number of stitches. So at the end, in the very last stitch, you'll do one slip stitch. So you'll skip one and then a slip stitch. I'm going to work around until we get to that point and I'll show you. So I'm right at the end. I have 2 more stitches left. We're going to skip this one, right? In the front loop here, we'll do our little sequence. Slip, half double, slip. I'm going to remove my stitch marker. Instead of skipping one, I'm going to insert my hook and just do a slip stitch. Just like that. I'm going to cut a good amount of yarn. We're going to use it for sewing later, so you want to give yourself some wiggle room. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to do what is called fastening off, which means we're just going to pull the yarn through so it kind of comes undone. And now we finished our pie crust. I'm going to show you our easy peasy trick of how to do the pumpkin filling. And you get to see my cat Peanut, who's not particularly helpful, but she's hanging out. So our bottom, I'm going to pull out my sample. Our pumpkin top is the exact same as the bottom. We have our magic ring, the increases, 1 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase, 3, 4, and 5. That is the exact same as the top. So instead of showing you that when, again, I like the videos from the beginning, go ahead and pause this video, mark this place, and then go back to the beginning and watch how to do the magic ring again, all the way till you have 5 single crochets and then an increase. Then we'll do our fasten off, which is cutting our yarn and pulling through. To do our little whipped cream, we're going to start with our magic ring and our 6 single crochets, just like you've been starting the crust and the filling, the exact same way. Our magic ring, 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then I get to pull it tight. I'm not putting my stitch marker in quite yet because I'm just going to keep track in my head because we're going to do 6 single crochets. So no increases, no nothing, 1 single crochet in every stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, I've been crocheting a while. I know where to start my crochet pieces. I can see every stitch. If you're not confident that you're going to see every stitch, please place a stitch marker in. You don't want to skip one. It kind of messes the whole thing up. I mean, a little bit. It's okay if your whipped cream's wonky. I assure you, I have never gotten that perfect cream out of a can. Next, we're going to increase 6 times. So 2 single crochets in every single stitch. So our 6 will become 12. And then 2. Then we're going to leave a tail. We'll use this for sewing. Cut and pull through. This is our little whipped cream. To start our assembly, I need to grab a tapestry needle, not an orange. Here we go. I'm going to take my long tail from the outside edge of my whipped cream and put it on my tapestry needle. I'm going to hold my whipped cream in the middle. This is my inside tail. Just kind of going to scoot it around so it's not in my way. And then I'm going to go in and out of the whipped cream into the filling all the way around. When you get close to the end, you're going to want to shove this tail inside. You can place a little bit of stuffing on the inside. I personally don't, because sometimes I can't get all the stuffing in it and then it will show, and that will bother me. And I think using this yarn tail is enough. But if you want it to be fluffier, you can certainly add some stuffing. Going around. Try not to make it too flat. And then shove the tail in. And then I'm going to finish up. Finishing going all the way around. All right, so now on the back side, I'm going to take off my tapestry needle and I'm going to use my 2 tails and tie a knot. You don't have to pull too tight. This is just to make sure nothing comes undone. And then I'll trim, leaving an inch or so. Now we get to add the smile to our pie crust. I'm going to grab my eyes, which are 8 millimeters, and the backs, there we go, and a little bit of black yarn. I want to put the black yarn on my needle. I'm going to find my edge with my sewing string from the crust. I'm going to place it in the back. I'm going to place the eyes like so. Let me check my example. Can't decide if I want to go one up. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just going to place those in for now. I'm going to take my black yarn and add the smile before I add the backs on. This will make sure that they're nice and even. Starting from the back, I'm going to poke through and leave a few inches of black on the back. I'm going to draw a line over and go back inside, so it's a straight line. Then I'm going to go underneath about 1 round or so. Pull through, and I'm going to scoop the black line down and put my needle in the same spot and pull. See, now my eyes are not centered, which is why I didn't put the backs in yet. Yeah, there we go. Place the backs. You want to be flush with the piece. And then sometimes they're a little awkward to push on, but just pull really tight. If you are struggling to put it on, you can put it on backwards. But I would like to note here, this is not as secure. Technically, I've never had any problems, but safety eyes technically should not be used with this like this, as well as safety eyes should not be used for kids under the age of 3, just because they can come undone. There are some different methods to super securing them, but I'm not going to quite go through that in this video. For this little tiny pumpkin pie, I think we're going to be all right. I'm going to place a square knot on the back with my black yarn. Don't pull too tight because you don't want to mess up your smile. Trimming it just so it stays out of my way. And I'm going to do that with the middle string as well. Now we get to put the pie inside. We're going to sew it with the tan string. So I'm going to put it on my tapestry needle. I'm going to go through the crust and then through the filling. And then back through the same stitch, but just on the crust. So again, I'm moving clockwise, but it doesn't matter. Through the crust, through the filling, and then back only through the crust. Because we're sewing 2 different colors, this helps it be a little cleaner. I'm also going below my ruffles so that they stick out nice and pretty. But another note here, there are about 500 different ways to sew on crochet pieces, and I'll be honest with you, it doesn't matter what you do as long as your piece stays. Because we're using 2 colors, be mindful not to pull crazy hard, because then your orange will peek out through your pie crust. So it does ruin the illusion a little bit, but if that doesn't bother you, just sew your piece on. You can learn that later when you are a master crocheter, but in the beginning when you're just learning, it doesn't matter. That's something I want to emphasize, you are just learning. So your first piece is going to be a little wonky, it's going to be a little strange. Mine certainly was. I started with very ugly squares, moved on to very ugly hats, and then at some point made a shark that did not look like a shark and completely fell apart. And look at me now. So just be patient with yourself. It's gonna take a little bit to get used to, especially if you're not used to any of the fiber arts using yarn. So just be patient with yourself. I'm gonna finish sewing. I'm gonna go 3/4 of the way around, and then we'll talk about stuffing. I'm about 3/4 of the way around or so, enough that I can stick my hand in it. I just tucked my orange tail in, and our stuffing. There is a trick to stuffing. You do not just want to squish it and shove it in. You actually want to pull it apart into small clumps and place it individually. This helps give a nice full round, and it lets you use less stuffing. If you are following from one of my crochet kits and you have all the supplies in front of you, I give you extra stuffing, so don't worry. Don't freak out or think you're understuffing. You stuff it to however you want. Do not feel obligated to use all of it. I place mine starting in this corner of the circle, this area, kind of working my way back towards the opening. And I'm just placing it where I want it to be rounder. Can't really mess this up, so just keep on playing with it. You can decide how full you want it, if you want your filling super high, or if you want your bottom very flat. You can decide that all. I think I want my filling a little higher than I did last time, so in the pictures it's a little easier to see. Yeah, look at that. Okay, and then like one more. I like to make sure I get all those little fibers off, just because I like a cleaner look. And then I'm going to continue closing my piece. I find it easier to kind of put my finger where the stuffing is so that I don't pull the little white fibers from the stuffing outside of it. It's just something that really bothers me because you're gonna get some naturally, but sometimes when you pull those out, it will like pull the whole clump towards the end and then it's uneven, and to be honest, it just bothers me. It might not bother you at all, and you might be saying, Kendall, you are strange for caring about that. So just stuff your piece. You'll figure it out as you go, what you like, what your preference is, and the tricks and tips of the trade. So I'm almost at the end. There we go. See, like this is what I'm talking about. I want that inside. Don't come out. Okay, I'm on like my last one, the last stitch, and I'm coming out. Do not just cut this piece. Do not just tie a knot. Do not just cut it. It will come undone. What we're gonna do instead is we're gonna get as close as we can to where our yarn tail currently is. So mine's right here. I'm gonna poke through and then poke through the body. Don't pull too tight, because again, that will happen. We don't want that. On the back, you're gonna cut it. Try to cut it as close as you can without cutting the crust. If it sticks out, you can tuck it in with your scissors, kind of rub it, stretch it out, it will go away. And there we have our pumpkin pie. Thank you so much for joining me today as we made this adorable little pumpkin pie. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and continue to make free beginner crochet tutorials. You should totally follow me on social media, especially TikTok. I post there about releases, new patterns, new kits, all sorts of fun stuff. Again, my name is Kendall, and I'll see you in the next video.